All right, I'm gonna record just a video of me kind of doing more strongholds and walking through it, just so people can have more examples. I think when I was teaching a lot of my friends or people in a service that I'm in, there were a lot of cases that came up that I think people learn the best by trial, by just like seeing it themselves and understanding why it's happening. So I'm just gonna do strongholds and like explain what's going on and like what my opinion is of what's happening and what I think we should do next, if that makes sense. Make sure your hitboxes are on, 30 FOV. I'm having mobs on because they are a very real issue that can happen. Okay, so this is a spike. For me, this spike can only occur with a average spike, which is like a spawner with a chest or two in front, or this is a pure cave spider reading. Cave spider pure readings are like one of the biggest issues. To me, they don't happen common enough to warrant like being extra careful here. If you want though, you can just check for more spikes, see if there's anything else that maybe steps out to you. You can do some hitbox wiggles on things that might be pure. I'm assuming this is just going to be a pure spike in this direction. You can continue to rescan in this direction. You can see I got a spike here, and there's a portal room. Yeah, there's just average spike because there was like one or two of these chests were rendered on the way. So that's how I identified that. In all these trials, I'm using MPK, which finds a real stronghold. I'm like instantly going in creative and entering survival. There might be slightly more mobs than usual just because I'm giving that overworld like a chance to load. But okay, so for me, this is either I have a chest behind my stronghold, behind the portal room, or like and multiple in front of it. This is like on the higher end of spikes. But this is like a real spike. I would maybe go thin and seeing if the spike value changes. You'll see I'm down like a couple more percent. And over here, you see I'm down to 53. So the only spawners that have this kind of effect, where it goes from this larger spike and then drops down to this smaller spike, are cave spider and zombie spider, or a zombie spawner, or not cave spider. Sorry, the only spikes that do that, depending on chests, are silverfish and zombie. Cave spider spawners would be default at this level, but then with even any amount of chests rendered, it would jump up to like 65 for me or something. So this basically confirms that in this direction, it's either a silverfish or a zombie spawner with some amount of chests. So now my job is to get there. I can always, again, I have hitboxes on, so I can always rescan. I hear it now, but I'm assuming it's just here and then left. Oh wow. Okay. That is really tricky. Low-key, you'd probably just dig to this. I think if you were here and you heard the hisses and you went here and there wasn't anything, I think most people would probably just go here and start digging, like where they hear the hisses, or I don't know, some people might pearl and accidentally see it. All right. On the next stronghold. Again, in real runs, mobs are probably going to be less of an issue. I think that, since I'm rendering that overworld area at all, this gives mobs time to spawn at like while I'm in the portal animation and stuff, so maybe just makes mobs a little bit bigger of a problem than they would be in like a normal 20 obby run, but still good to know about. So here, I have a spike. This is like 4 chests. This is very similar to the spike that I get from like a pure spike, but you'll see when I toggle hitboxes, it doesn't change. So I know this is just chests. With that information, I can look more right, and I have a really huge spike. This is 67. This is almost impossible for me with a silverfish spawner without like 10 plus chests. It isn't impossible. I know there's 4 right here. There could be more in that chunk, but I'm going to prefer to like just keep rescanning. And you'll see over here, I have this 57 spike. This is kind of the sweet spot for me, where I think I could be wrong in this case, but I'm pretty sure this is too high to be a cave spider spawner alone, but it's too low to be any mob spawner with a chest, except for a zombie spawner. So to me, this tells me I should go straight in this direction. So I'm just going to follow this path. Find a library with chests. That definitely could have affected the chest, or definitely could have affected the spike. And it looks like it is indeed a zombie spawner. So that's pretty tough. Oh, nope, it was there. That is really interesting. Okay, well that's good to know for me too. I just happened to not hear it, and the actual path is just so insanely different from actual. Yeah. Important to note that no matter how good preemptive is, sometimes the nav is still just going to be misleading. Like your spike can be perfect, but the direction to get there can be hard. So, I think this strategy is really good for preemptive, but it's definitely not like a miracle strategy that lets you just insta get the portal room every time. Again, when I'm getting these spikes, I'm noticing like these are my pure reading spikes. You'll notice that I might just like toggle my hitboxes on and off just to see if it ends up being like a pure spike. You can choose whether you want to do this before getting a real spike. Like in this case, all that did is prevent me from seeing if there was a like visible real spike, which is like pretty common. But yeah, I can see that I had two spikes that end up just being chests, and then I have a real spike. And then over here, as I go deeper, I get that same kind of like fake-ish spike. And turning off hitboxes gives me that really abrupt edge. And it's pretty much like I know exactly that has to be that has to be the portal room, or like a 1 in a million zombie spawner with no chests rendered. I think that's like a really rare case though. I think most often when you get that hitbox wiggle, it's like the most accurate reading you can get of this has to be a silverfish spawner. It's really nice. Right, on to the next one. This one I'm getting a pretty quick spike. This looks good, but again, I can choose to just go thinner to get more information. You'll notice my spike actually disappears. And then I'm actually getting this pure reading. Again, when I get this pure reading, after going thin, it's a really good information. Because this spike originally, when I was on 30 FOV, let me find it again. Hitbox shown, okay. This spike is the same as like a pure cave spider spawner. However, getting that thin, that like fake-ish spike that I can do hitbox wiggle with, it just confirms that that has to be a silverfish spawner. It's the only spawner, that and a zombie, that it can be. Awesome. I mean, I think it's just so insanely good for consistency. There isn't any trade-offs anymore compared to hovering blocks. Like you aren't actually losing anything. And I think that's just so important. Like it's so good. Okay, this one I have that kind of pure spike. Oh, I didn't have hitboxes on. Wait, no, I do. Oh, it looks like when I stop crouching, I'm getting a spike. Or when I'm jumping. Really interesting. Could be due to having like a zombie or a mob rendered. But anyways, I have the spike to the right. It's in that range of like comfortable spikes, or spikes that I'm comfortable with, so I'm just going to send it. Of course, you always want to rescan. When you have a lot of mobs in your stronghold like this, it's definitely worth it to kind of like take your time to go 30 FOV in RSG, or you can use like iZoom in ranked just to get like a more accurate reading that has a less chance to like pick up all of those mobs. But like see here, like I have an entity in like every single reading that I'm doing here. All of these I have an entity until I go over here. So if I went 30 and used thin, then I'm getting just a more precise spike that I can use to measure. Oh, okay. And now I'm looking left and I have this. You see I have this wiggle. Again, this is just best information we have about the silverfish spawner, and here we are. Okay, cool. Maybe I could have nabbed the one a bit better, I'll be honest. Maybe if I looked more left, I would have seen that pure spike, and it would have given me more information. But yeah. Alright, let's try this again. See what's going on. Okay, this is my pure spike, so you'll see I check my hitboxes. Just a good habit to do, I think. Continue to scan. I have this 60% spike. This is on the upper limits of silverfish spikes. This is also in the range of like... I don't think any fake spikes get here. I think you should all get your own numbers. But there's a pretty big jump between like a big silverfish spike and any of the fake mob spawners with a chest. Especially because, I talked about this a little bit in the video, but this number right here, the T, this is like the number of mob weight you'll have. Unless this is above like 100, all your spikes will be dulled down, so you have to take that into consideration, but this is going to be a pretty average mob weight. So I'm just going to rescan. Look here, you'll see I get to the right, I have that same pure spike, and when I turn off hitboxes, it starts moving. So this is, again, just another confirmation this has to be a silverfish spawner. And I also get a slightly more accurate direction on it. It might be, you know, if I have to choose two different ways, I might be more inclined to go to the right. Really cool, though. Now that I've kind of talked about it a lot, I might try not to explain as much. Maybe just say, like, the pretty basic actions that I'm doing. Scan on 30 FOV. This is a extremely high spike, so I'm going to keep looking. You can also choose to use thin and look for that pure reading. You'll see I get something here. This is a 57% spike. Over here, I had a 65. In my opinion, generally, if going thin doesn't give you more information, you should probably send just the lower spike. lower block entities count spike. So I'm just gonna go more in this direction, choose to rescan. You'll see I'm getting my spike blocked by entities. Maybe I'll look over here. I'm really struggling to get a spike without entities, but once I get it, you'll see that again, I have like that really real looking spike. So I'm just gonna continue this direction. Here we are. Maybe not great to overemphasize rescanning like that, because just checking that one doorway that's still in that direction would have given me the portal room. All right. Okay, again, we're getting this instant pure reading, and I instantly can confirm that it's real. If I continue to scan, I would have gotten this spike. Again, this is like a pretty good spike for me. It's on the higher end, but we have average mob weight, so this is good. I now, again, have extra information that's a little bit towards the left, like a little bit straighter in this direction. And yeah, I mean, that's just incredible. I mean, this could have been, if you just get this general spike in this direction, there's a lot of ways where you can just go wrong and get lost, especially with this secret room. And getting this like more exact angle just helps exponentially in this case. I really can't stress enough how important it is to use all of the tools that you have on every stronghold. All right, gonna re-enter. Okay, scanning on 30. Here is a spike. This is even higher than the previous ones, but I do have a lower mob weight. You'll see I only have 34 mobs rendered. I'll continue to keep scanning though, see if there's anything that looks realer. I check hitbox wiggle on this, don't get anything. Keep going. Looks like this is the only spike I have, and now it's a little more realistic. So maybe I'll go thin and see if I get a slightly more specific spike. You'll see here I don't have a spike. It didn't get affected, but I moved more to the right and I have a real spike. So what this is saying is there's chests somewhere over here, and then there's a sort of spawner over here. I think it's silverfish. It's not impossible that it could be like a cave spider or something, but I feel pretty confident it's gonna be here. Yep. And if we go in third person, we can see that a lot of the chests are just slightly more right to the angle. You'll see there's a library and a four-way. Maybe I could have picked that up. I doubt it, but just 3 chests, and then we're picking up the portal room. Awesome. Again, when you're good enough at preemptive, when you understand everything, you can know like the layout of the stronghold on a lot of cases without leaving the portal animation. And that's why I think this is so good for like speed and consistency. Okay, no wiggle. There's wiggle. I now have a very exact direction. I'm gonna look for anything that goes in this direction. This seems to go there the best. I think that's a dead end. It curves more left while this goes down and towards the center, so I'm gonna go here. And I mean, that's just incredible. I mean, that's honestly just incredible. It is sort of one way when you look at it. Like sometimes you may think it's like a crazy nav, but anyone with like a semblance of a spike would have just been forced to go that way. But again, I think the big picture on strongholds like those is that there isn't a trade-off for doing this. You're not gonna like necessarily go slower on the easy strongholds either if you know all of your stuff. All right, 58. That's a really good spike for me. I'm gonna check with thin to get a more accurate angle. We're getting this pure spike. We can just go thin and do a hitbox wiggle to confirm that. But we have a very accurate, yeah, it ended up being just straight mid. But you'll see that it's on this right of this chunk border. Sorry, let me turn on the normal ones. You'll see it's on the right of this chunk border, which means that, you know, looking like over here wouldn't give it to me. The second I'm rendering this chunk, it would. So that's why I had more bias on the right, even though it was straight. You have to remember that it's not really split up by spawners, but it's split up by chunks that include the different block entities. Only entities are the things that like looking straight at them will render them, and looking not straight at them won't. Okay, check here for eye wiggle. We have a great spike here. I'll check there for eye wiggle, we don't, which shows me that the spawner is a little more left. I honestly didn't even look at the numbers in this case. My spike just looked pretty familiar, so I'm just sending it. You could get punished for that, I won't lie. But I think if you only have one spike and it's like really, really good anyways, I would just always send it. Mid didn't really show me anything, so I'm gonna go here. And again, the further I go in this, like when it's a diagonal, the further I go left, the more I need to put focus on going to the right. So maybe I'd check over here, and there's a portal room. I mean, this is a pretty tricky one. If you just had a normal 30 FOV spike in this direction, any of these paths that all kind of deviate and like split, any of these could have been correct. That's why using thin is so nice. Even when we have a spike, it's just to get that extra little angle and information. That's not new tech though. People have been doing that for a while, I'll tell you. All right, on to the next. Okay, 64. This is a extremely high spike for me. I think this is getting into the range where this could be a spider spawner, a cave spider spawner, or a skeleton spawner with one chest, I think this is the range I'm getting to. So I definitely don't want to force that yet. I'm gonna just look for more directions. You'll see I have an entity in like every direction for whatever reason, so I'm gonna go thin to try and avoid those. I get the spike, it's not pure. I get the spike, it's not pure. Get the spike, it's not pure. Again, you'll see every time I have a spike like this, it's because I have an entity. So something with the stronghold is just causing a lot of entities to spawn. I find nothing else, so I'm gonna go back and get a deeper examination on the real spike I had. You'll see that I have it more to the right, it's 63. And then I notice I have a 54 spike over here. So this is pretty good information, because it means one of two things. Either this is the silverfish spawner, again, or zombie spawner, with like one chest in front of it, and then to the right, I'm loading way more chests, and that messes it up. Or this is a pure cave spider spawner, and when I look to the right, I'm loading in any amount of chests. And in this case, it was real, and you'll see when I look more to the right, I load in 1, 2, 3 extra chests. Oh, maybe 4. Actually 5. If you looked here at it, you would load in 5 extra chests, including a chest behind, which would boost the spike super significantly. So that makes sense in this case. Yeah. So in this case, you know, I kind of got to analyze everything. I think there's some skill expression in how you choose to like check for these different things, right? If you have a huge spike, maybe your first reaction is, I'm going to go thin and see if I can see a more familiar real spike in the center of it. And you can choose to do that. It's totally valid. The order in which I do things is just kind of based on my experience. The more you practice or do runs, you might just like switch it up a bit, and you're totally allowed to do that. I think a lot of the issues have pretty similar like odds of happening, like 10% for a lot of these. So it's just kind of personal preference, what you find to be the most comfy. Okay, again, we're getting this huge spike. This isn't as high as before, so I think I'm gonna choose and examine this further. This is not a pure spike. I do the wiggle, it doesn't move. I move more left, and I'm getting a tiny bit under that, meaning there could have been a chest over here, and now I'm loading the spike, and then I move to the right, don't have it. Okay, and then you see I have a 55 spike here. So again, to me, with all this information, we can deduce it's a silverfish or a zombie spawner. No other spawner has this kind of combination of results. And if you're really observant, you'd see this lava right here. Or you hear the silverfish or whatever. But yeah, amazing. I mean, this has really changed preemptive for me. Learning all the information I have has been a great learning experience, and I feel really confident now that I can nav most strongholds pretty quickly. Okay, again, when I see this kind of familiar value to like my pure spike, I like to just toggle my hitboxes. I don't think this is actually quite what it is. I think I'm more like 44%. So if you're really aware of your T value, you can know that like, oh, I only have to check these like lower percentages if my T value is like above 100. So I don't think this even could have been a pure value. Oh my God, 72. 70s is where we just know it can't be like something normal. It just doesn't happen very often. I checked this for hitbox wiggle. It's pretty close to 44. I didn't see anything. Gonna continue to swivel. No hitbox. And here we have a 56 spike. So here I have a 56 and a 70. For me, it's a no-brainer. This spike is looking similar to any fake spawner with a chest, while this one is looking like a real spike. Again, there are scenarios where this kind of thinking is going to be flawed. This could have been like a pure cave spider spawner. This could have been a silver spawner with a billion chests or some shit, or maybe like 2 spawners in the chest, but it is really rare. So I think that kind of logic is already really consistent just by itself. All right. Please don't. Okay. Kind of annoying, but it's fine. Okay, where's that spike I had? I have mobs now. Looks like I have a 61 spike. This is just in the higher end, so I'll check it a little further. This is not a pure value. Hitbox wiggle's doing nothing. When I go right, then I'm getting this huge spike. There's a chance this is fake, but I don't think any spawner is this value. I think this is too high for a pure cave spider, and it's too low for any of the spawners of the chest. So to me, this just feels like a silverfish, like an actual spawner with like a bunch of chests. I'm actually just gonna check. Yep, looks like we have a spawner, and there's just a significant amount of chests loaded. You can see 1, 2. It feels like there should be one behind it because that's why it would be so high. Maybe from starter, which is over here, it says that since this is a closer distance, it counts this chest as behind it. And that's why it gets that kind of extra boost that a chest behind gives it. But it makes sense anyways. All right, let's go next. But again, like having everything simplified to just a few block entity values makes it so much quicker on your brain, I think, to just recognize it. Okay, I have an entity here. When I have this kind of spike where it's like a quarter in green, you might recognize this in runs, but entities, like a single entity, usually gives like a pretty similar spike. Gonna keep looking though. See nothing, see nothing. Let's go thinner to try and avoid more entities. I'm still not getting anything, not even a pure spike, and now I'm getting it kind of where I got that entity before. So you're seeing how an entity can like kind of be a big issue. It just prevented me from picking up that spike because it was probably in the same direction, and that's where thin comes in handy. You know, using thin in this scenario allows me to see the spike, the chunks with the spikes past the entity. So now it's a question of how do I get there? Nope, not this way. It maybe could be mid. I could like cut here. Maybe it's here. If not, it's gonna be left and then above me, and that's what it's looking like. It's looking like it's gonna be right here somewhere. Oh, no, okay. It was just further left, actually. Wow, that was the correct path. Jesus. Okay, well, more reason to trust your guts and just follow your spike. Yeah, cool. On to the next. Okay. Oh, this is not hitbox wiggle. Okay, this is actually a pretty important thing that I want people to be aware of. If when you toggle your hitboxes, an entity also spawns or walks into your vision, it can look very, very similar. So be sure that you're like extra sure that you notice the wiggle like same as normal, because it can be very, very misleading if not. Keep scanning. I have some more hitbox wiggles. I'm not really getting anything, so I'm gonna go thin, see if I can avoid some more entities. None of these like purish spikes are giving me anything. I can look down a little bit more, see if I'm getting anything down here. After that, my next, my assumption when this happens is either an entity was blocking me for a long time, I'm very unlucky, or we have some sort of chunk culling. The first thing you should check with chunk culling is that there's a chunk border that aligns with the wall. So me personally, you can choose if you want to just like cross like the ones where the stronghold goes. For me, I like to feel a little risky. I'm just gonna dig into this chunk border and cross it, and then rescan while hovering, and maybe it'll allow for a spike. Thin could help. Didn't work in this case. So when that happens, you want to just start crossing more chunk borders. I'm going to cross this one and rescan. This one looks real. It's not. You could use 30 so that you can use thin as well to get a more accurate reading. I'm just not getting anything good. So I'd probably assume that's going to be somewhere to the left. You'll see that this chunk border is like really far. So I'm going to have to kind of make a lot of distance. You can choose to just go the straight middle chunk border. I think this is a nice like consistent value. Yep, here it gets me the spike. In some cases, if you see like a corner, you might choose to just skip that. But you'll see in this case, it actually prevents me from getting the spike. We're crossing this one chunk border does not. So I think it's better to just cross one chunk border at a time, and maybe it'll help you find the stronghold. I have a scan, can be really close. There it is. Yep. So this is just an example of, at some point between the starter staircase and the portal room, there's some culling happening, and culling. The only way that this algorithm is reworked is going to a different chunk. So going to this next sub chunk allows me to pick up the spike. Cool. And I think doing that on a run would be pretty quickly, and that's like basically the worst case scenario. And that's like probably the bottom 5% scenario of how to get a spike. To go to like a third chunk, check a third chunk border. But yeah, it works. 53 looks pretty real. You see over there at 71. This is just out of limits. While over to the right, I have a pure reading. I have that. I press hitboxes, I lose it. So now I know, and this is something that's kind of hard to gather. This might be the portal room. To my left is fake, and to my right is real. Yeah, it was just here. But you'll see, again, it's off the chunk. So the chunk that includes the portal room is all the way over here. And then over to the left, this can be a cave spider spawner, maybe. Let's take a look. What was I picking up? What was I picking up to the left? I mean, it could have been like 100 million chests, to be honest. That's not actually impossible. Or there was just some sort of spawner that I'm really just not seeing right now. It could have been that. Was that really what I was picking up? No, that's way off angle, I think, right? It was something more over here. Okay. It's possible there's just such a significant amount of chests loaded that my spike was just big. Maybe I'll rescan and see if I can recreate it. Interesting. I'll go on peaceful for more consistent results. 74, and it's in this direction. So it's something here that I'm picking up in this direction here. Is there a spawner in this chunk I didn't notice, maybe? Or is it just the abundance of chests that I'm getting? I mean, yeah, I guess it's just, since I'm picking this up at the same time, it's just a spawner plus so many chests. That's really interesting. Shows that I'm definitely not an expert with my numbers, even after all this practice, and shows that, you know, you can always improve a little bit more. Cool. Oops, don't want to throw the wrong barrel. All right. I'm like lining up with this doesn't do anything. I don't know, I like doing it. Okay. You see here I have a spike. I don't know why I did hitbox wiggle, but you can do it here. It gives me a lot of information. There's a spawner here. There's chests somewhere to the left or right that I'm not always getting. It should be here or there. Yep, it's gonna be here. Look how fast that is. And that's using the hitbox wiggle. You would think that it'd be kind of slow to do the hitbox wiggle, but it really is so fast. It's incredible. It's actually just incredible. Okay, that 50%. Again, there is a possibility this is a pure cave, but I feel comfortable enough to send it. I'm gonna just keep going this direction, and it was real. It just means that I had a spawner with one chest on the way. But again, when you get your values, you're gonna notice that the cave spider spawner by itself is in a pretty realistic range of values that you can get from a silverfish spawner. No wiggle, big spike, looks convincing. Wiggle on the pure spike. I just get such an insanely specific direction. Like, that's amazing. Come on, that's so good. Nope. Have some entities, so I'm gonna go thin, see if I can bypass those. Not really seeing anything that even looks like it could be hitbox wiggle. So my assumption is, well, I can check below too. Below might be a nice like final check for relief portal. See if you have something below. I don't here. Chunk culling. Lines up with a hidden room. This is a very common scenario that the first thing you want to do is open this and cross that specific chunk border. Let's see what we get if it helps us get a spike. Yep, now you have a spike. Very common scenario, and found it. That's why you'll see a lot of runners like Dougal and Silver. When they don't have a spike and they see a hidden room, they'll turn on chunk borders. The hidden room could only ever matter if it lines up with the chunk border. Just a nice little rule of thumb. Okay, big value here. Not a pure spike. I have entities, which sucks. I can look more up to avoid it. Looks like it's just, there's something down that has both entities and a spike. So that's going to be kind of interesting to deal with. But yeah, I don't think this is actually a real wiggle. That's the wiggle. This tiny wiggle is what you get from mobs. I had something here originally, so I think I kind of am forced to trust it here. There's just a lot of mobs. It's not impossible this is just going to be a different mob spawner, though. It's definitely not impossible. I'm just going to force that direction, though. Yeah, it looks like it's a two-way stronghold, both kind of leading this direction. And yeah, leads me there. Big spike was due to, two spawners. Yeah, and then I also had a lot of mobs on the way. That's like a case where entities can really just screw you over so hard. It sucks. All right, back to it. Big spike, 62 in the very real possibility. I check left, no hitbox wiggle, 59. Again, I don't think 59 and 62 are a combination you can get from any other spawner. Knowing that is pretty important. Directly in that line. Amazing. Awesome. All right. Okay, huge spike. This is the realm of a fake spawner in a chest. Okay, this isn't real. Ugh, real. So now I need to try and go thin on this big spike and see if there's two different parts to it. Now I have a 54 spike. Problem is, this spike is the same as a cave spider spawner by itself. And then with a chest, it would become like this. So let's check the right and see if it's a second spawner or if this is just chests. So this is just chests. This is pretty worrying. It is possible this is like some weird combination of silverfish spawner. If I had to guess, it's going to be a cave. Okay, it is real. It's just a significant amount of chests again. Yeah, so, oh. Is this in the same chunk? No. But I was probably rendering in both of these at the same time. That would explain why my spike is so high. Two spawners can also do that. Good to know. Unlucky, but it's all chill. Or maybe it was just even the chests from that dungeon loaded, and that's what made that spike so much higher. Okay. No wiggle. No wiggle. Spike. Check. Pure. Chest left. Spike right. Have a good direction. Have a more specific way to check. Following it. It's actually not here. Let's pretend I didn't hear that. Wow. It's just not this way at all. Interesting. So I need to find another way. Oh, hidden room. I'm gonna guess this turns right instantly. Here we go. And again, we need to remember to the left more was chest and to the right more is a spawner. So we want to prioritize like, oh, maybe this will lead there. Nope. Let's go back mid. And this curves right. Really tricky nav, but we honestly get a lot of information. You do hear silverfish hisses here. You could just dig there. I think it makes sense that the further you dig, if you know it's away from any other paths, like it's a one-way path and you hear it, just dig there. If you're close to starter though, you could always try and navigate it, but I feel like most times when someone does that, they just end up getting screwed. Okay, no hitbox wiggle. Hitbox wiggle. This is a big spike. So 67, really big spike, really big spike. No wiggle. Okay. This is another scenario where this could be mob spawner that's fake and a chest, or it could be real with chests and more chests. I don't have anything else, so I think it's more common to check and just hope that it was real. There's just a lot of chests loaded for some reason. Maybe go down more. I mean, that's just incredible. That is honestly just incredible that I can nav that so quickly. This is the reason why Spike's so weird. We also have a skeleton. All honesty, this might have just been cold, and I might have just been going towards the skeleton. It's not impossible. But yeah. Worked out in this case, but there will be cases where the silverfish spawner is cold, and then you have a spike that maybe could be real. More common than not, the one spike's gonna be real, but it is a possibility you need to kind of worry about, especially in ranked. Huge spike again, 65. No hitbox wiggle. Hitbox wiggle on the right of spike. Again, this is where it comes in handy. Chests, spawner, overlap. Look at this. Spawner. Oh, instead of chests here, it was a spider spawner. Okay. Works just as well. You go to the smaller spike. If you get that pure spike, you know it's a silverfish or a zombie spawner. Just such great information. Whoa, spike. Not pure. Entities are screwing me really hard right now. I'm not sure if you can see this, but I think it's going to be here somewhere. Now I have it. Entities just prevent me from getting something really accurate. Is it going to just be over here? That's it. Exact direction. But it's ocean, and ocean has a lot of entities. Seems like to me, you're going to want to prioritize just using a lot of zoom. You'll see here, I can still get it, even through all these fish or whatever the heck I'm rendering. Dolphins. Yeah. Ocean and dig downs, I think zoom is a really big key. You can choose to go for pure, but to be honest, you can probably it's probably just better to just use more zoom more often, or start out using zoom. All right. We have a spike, no wiggle. Have a real spike. 57. I'll send that. You'll see I didn't care to take the time if this was pure or not. To be honest, sometimes you just want to go quick. Totally fine. In this case, it saves me a lot because this nav is really easy to see because it's just exposed. If it was close, it also saved me time. Like you can see the merit of checking that like fake-ish spike, like the pure spike that you have to hitbox wiggle. But you know, a lot of times like you can already assume that it's the real spawner without doing that. All right, loading straight into an awesome spike. Gonna try and see if I can get it. None of these are wiggling, so oh, it's more down then. Interesting. Maybe there would be more emphasis in this case on going down. Maybe I'm standing at a sub chunk and the spawner is just slightly below it, but this is a pretty interesting case. I know where the chests are, and I know that the silver spawner seems to be lower than that. How do I get there? Okay, this goes down. Matches with my idea. But I'm not seeing anything. Let's take a look. It was directly below me. So I was right about the idea of being down, but you'll see that even just rendering in this corner of the chunk, it's rendering something in just such a different direction. This is probably one of the more tricky cases. If it really seems like it's nothing in the right direction, you have the option to just scan straight down. I have entities, but if I didn't, I'd have that. If I had a pure spike, like... Well, I can't have a pure spike because there's a chest in one of these chunks, but yeah. Maybe if you have a chunk that's straight down, it might be a good idea to check for straight under you. That seems to make sense. I'll just do one or two more. I think I've gone through a lot of the scenarios. Hopefully learn something from this. If you have any questions, DM me on Discord. I'm always here. Okay, this is a wiggle spike that didn't wiggle, so we're gonna ignore. Maybe go thin. Nothing, 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 nothing. Really just nothing. Maybe look a little bit more down, below us. Still nothing. Gonna assume it's chunk culling. Looks like we don't have anything lining up particularly, so we just want to start crossing chunk borders and rescanning. Nothing there. Maybe I'll try and cross mid next. And go here and scan. Yep, and now I have a spike. The spike is just behind this wall, going mid, even though it's a different direction, allows for me to get the spike. Keep going deep. If I'm deeper and I still don't see it, here you can probably assume it's going to be to the right, but you can always rescan. Here I have mobs, makes it hard, but just going to be here. Yeah, it's there. I mean, this is just exceedingly hard to have. It's like really difficult, but again, you have chunk culling, start crossing chunk borders and rescanning. Eventually you'll get it. Really nice. All right, this will be my last one. Let's see what we got. Real-ish. Like, again, it's not impossible, but if you have a spike, I'm just going to send it. Awesome. All right. Hopefully you could get something out of this video. Again, expect a full, comprehensive, in-depth preemptive guide coming out later. I'm trying to find a way so that people can maybe just get, like, they can, like, half learn it if they want. But to me, it seems like it's just isn't that effective unless you're willing to, kind of learn all the things around it. If you're a top runner, definitely just learn all of this, watch all the videos, get comfortable. It's just incredibly consistent, and I'm really, really excited about the future of preemptive using this. Cool. All right, see you guys later.